Today, I'm going to go over my notes on reproductive signaling and the biological reason why some men are attractive, but in my opinion, the majority are not, and in a sexual context, completely invisible. And this is probably going to be a little bit controversial, but people need to hear it. At least my perspective on it is the framework that I've used on myself and my clients and seen great success with. So if you're open-minded, you will definitely benefit from this video. So the majority of people think that attraction is to do with personality or to do with confidence or other behavioral aspects like humor, trustworthiness, all that stuff, even genetics. And they think that it's down to an unpredictable or luck-based force. And this is just a load of rubbish. The truth is, sexual attraction is an automatic biological response. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is in response to in this video and how it's incredibly predictable. And I'm going to show you some Photoshop changes of an example face that I have where once you apply what this sexual attraction responds to, the face becomes noticeably more attractive. It's completely predictable. And if you didn't already know, my name is Angus James, and I've helped myself and hundreds of other people develop what we're going to talk about in this video and therefore become more attractive. This video is going to be a brief overview of what sexual attraction is, what reproductive signals are, what makes someone unattractive versus attractive, and how you can fix it and apply it to your own life to become better looking and have a much more interesting life. And of course, I'm going to show you that Photoshop change by change, applying the core philosophy and idea behind sexual attraction, at least in my opinion. What I found is sexual attraction is a biological and automatic response that is triggered by reproductive signals. And reproductive signals are simply just visible and measurable cues that message to a potential reproductive partner that you are reproductively fit. Reproductive fitness is just the ability of an animal to survive and reproduce in its given environment relative to other animals in the same population, and it's the likelihood that that animal is going to pass on its genes successfully to its offspring, and its offspring can do the exact same thing. Now, a population can mean your town, your workplace, even your city, and these days social media and dating apps completely skew the reality of what your population is. They completely ramp up the competition, the intrasexual competition between men and women for mate access, and just delude everyone as to what is available for us in a sexual and reproductive partner context. The main takeaway, if you don't remember anything else from this video, is that at the end of the day, we have these built-in, these deep primitive systems in us, and we're just living in a modern context, a modern environment. If you take away the cars, the jobs, the clothes, all of these socially constructed aspects of life, what it boils down to is that we're just animals. And there is an insurmountable amount of evidence that looks at sexual selection, evolutionary biology, evolutionary psychology, proving that we are drawn to visual and clearly visible cues, and these cues are secondary sexual characteristics. They are characteristics that we have obtained and retained over generations because they increase mating success. This is falling under sexual selection. Sexual selection favors traits that increase mating success. Natural selection favors traits that increase survival success. In my opinion, natural selection is less powerful than sexual selection for reproduction and mate value, because nowadays survival is almost guaranteed. So what really does drive the attraction and the reproduction are these secondary sexual characteristics that are favored by sexual selection. Now, it's important to know that attraction and aesthetics are not the same thing. You can have aesthetic appreciation for something like a nice plate of food or a nice view or even starved looking models on the runway, but whilst you might be impressed by what you see, it is separate from sexual attraction. I mean, it's literally in the name, sexual attraction. Sexual attraction is purely sexual. In order to trigger that attraction in a potential reproductive partner is to trigger that perception that you are reproductively fit. And you know exactly what this high reproductive signaling looks like. If you think of any attractive actor, celebrity, model, they are showing strong reproductive signaling. And it goes a lot deeper than just thinking, oh, that person's attractive because of this, when in reality, for example, a man with a wide jaw, you might think, okay, that's attractive, but there's always a biological reason behind that attraction. And specifically, for example, for wider jaws, there is a direct link with prenatal and developmental testosterone during adolescence that causes that increased jaw width, that periosteal apposition, where the bone literally expands, increases in diameter, increases in cortical thickness in comparison to females, where males during adolescence have around 20 to 30 times more testosterone, and that testosterone completely drives that dimorphic change. If you want to know exactly what traits trigger and show strong reproductive signaling, I've made what I believe to be the core 14 traits for reproductive signaling. If you want that, it's completely free. Just DM me traits on Instagram and I'll send it to you. The core reproductive signals are firstly development, sexual maturity, and sexual dimorphism. Secondly, developmental stability. And lastly, absence of disease. And I'll get into the fourth amplifier, but it's not a core signal like those three are. Just to go over it briefly, the first is how differently you look from a child as an adult and a man from a woman. And sexual dimorphism is just the consistent phenotypic differences in morphology, physiology, and behavior between male and female within that species, and looking clearly different from a woman as a man and clearly different from a child as an adult are essential for attraction. Secondly, looking at developmental stability. This is how well as an animal during ontogeny, that is just from birth to complete maturation, and if you have developed in a normal and stable way, despite the inevitable internal and external pressures and stresses that we are subjected to during development. This can be malnutrition, psychological and physiological stresses and strains, prenatal and maternal stresses and issues, pathogen load, etc., etc. These stresses naturally shape and change our morphology. We have phenotypic plasticity, where as we grow, our gene expression and appearance can easily change based on these environmental factors and internal factors. And someone that has a feature of the face that is a clear deviation from the statistical population's average is going to be perceived as less attractive. And this is the harsh reality of developmental abnormalities, ranging from a crooked nose, maybe crooked teeth, to full-blown malocclusion, for example. Of course, severity is going to affect how much it harms your sexual attraction. Either way, it's going to negatively impact that. And finally, absence of disease. You walk past the majority of people, not many people look diseased. Maybe depending on what country you live in, that might be different. But the majority of people have a baseline appearance of health, at least not looking diseased. And if you do look diseased, you do look like you have high pathogen load. This is going to seriously and significantly reduce any sexual attraction whatsoever. For example, acne is subconsciously perceived as disease. It sounds very harsh, but that's just the reality of it. And if you do have acne, you're going to be signaling to other people that you have higher pathogen load, you're potentially diseased. And in a sexual context, across all species, any animal that is diseased is not going to be considered or interacted with in a sexual context, because no one wants to be involved with that and potentially pass that on to our children. So now I'm going to tell you how to improve your looks with this framework, and also link it in with the major mistake that most men make when trying to improve their looks. And it links in with tertiary sexual characteristics. Now, we talked about those three core reproductive signals are secondary sexual characteristics that have been obtained and retained over generations because they are favorable and increase mating success. And then you have tertiary characteristics, which are socioeconomic and sociocultural traits that increase one's perceived social prestige. For example, fame, status, money, intelligence, humor, confidence. All these things are amplifiers, multipliers to your perceived ability to survive and reproduce, i.e. reproductive fitness. And again, they are multipliers. If you don't have the core reproductive signals, 0 times 100 is 0. It doesn't matter how much status you have, how much money you have, etc., etc. You cannot create true raw sexual attraction with tertiary sexual characteristics. So how do you improve? You focus on the core reproductive signals and improving the traits within those main categories, and focus on the major issues you have. A lot of people try and do little changes, little tweaks. To be honest, this is just complete cope. And I have dealt with so many people who have come to me and told me what they're doing, but they still haven't dealt with the major issues that they need to deal with in order to become significantly more attractive. And again, it's just a cope because no one wants to do the hard stuff. No one wants to do what they really need to do. Everyone just wants to kind of beat around the bush and take shortcuts. And what I found is when I've worked with clients that actually do focus on the major issues, their attraction significantly increases. And once you've done and dealt with those major issues, sure, focus on the smaller issues, add those tertiary sexual characteristics to amplify what you already have. But firstly, focus on what really biologically matters before adding and tweaking and improving the smaller, less important aspects. So now I'm going to show you a live Photoshop change by change example of someone that has no reproductive signaling whatsoever, and by the end of it has at least arguably a moderate level of reproductive signaling, i.e. moderately attractive. And this is only with a few changes. So I've got my laptop by my side here, so that's why I'm going to be looking down off the screen and not towards the camera. But this is our example, and as you can see, clearly unattractive for a lot of reasons, but we're just going to tackle the major issues within these core reproductive signals. And firstly, we're looking at his acne. Now, as mentioned, acne is going to signal to other people and, more importantly, potential reproductive partners that you are diseased. So therefore, clearing this acne is definitely what needs to be done. And as you can see, there's a clear improvement already. And on the left, you can see correction. This is one of the two different ways to get rid of a flaw, a facial flaw, and the other is concealment. Correction is just fixing that flaw. Concealment is hiding that flaw, and we have a concealment strategy in one of these changes down the line. So I'll show you that in a sec. And this change is obviously within the absence of disease category, removing any perception of disease. Next, we're moving on to the sexual dimorphism, development, and sexual maturity category, and we're looking at the eyebrows. And eyebrows are a particular feature that show clear dimorphic difference and clear difference from a child versus an adult and a male versus a female. And thick, dense eyebrows are a clear male sex typical trait. So developing those eyebrows and thickening those eyebrows is something that you definitely have to do if you do have eyebrows that look like the left-hand side. Most people don't know that you can actually develop your eyebrows. You can use topical minoxidil once or twice daily. This is going to develop the hairs of the eyebrow from arm-like vellus hairs to thicker, coarser hairs, which show clear sexual maturity, development, and sexual dimorphism. Next change is within the same category of reproductive signaling, and this is increasing facial composition, improving facial composition, so reducing or completely removing excess facial adiposity, completely removing facial bloating, and showing clear sexual maturity. Because if you take any childlike or juvenile face and you compare it with an adult, one of the main things that is always different between those faces is clear facial definition, angularity. It's a core sign of sexual maturity and therefore completely necessary for sexual attraction to occur. Next, we're looking at developmental stability, and pointy out ears or ears that stick out in an abnormal or weird way are a sign of developmental instability. You may have picked up on this at the very beginning, but his ears stick out slightly too much. The width of his ears from the tragus to the outermost point of his ears point out more than a third of the height in terms of distance and therefore stick out too much. And this is where the concealment option also comes in. I'm going to show you that on the next slide. But the first option would be an otoplasty, which is one of the very few surgeries that I do actually favor and actually would recommend and at least use myself if needed, because it's incredibly safe, incredibly popular, and yields really good results and brings back that developmental stability and that you have developed in a normal way, closely matching the statistical population average of that feature. However, if you don't want to do that correction in this particular example, you can grow out your hair, cover the top thirds of the ears. This is an easy way to conceal most, if not all, ear-related issues, where when you cover the top thirds of the ears, it removes and murkies the water of those landmarks and borders of the face and the ears and removes the perception of that flaw. So here you can see the side by side, and it's a clear improvement in sexual attraction from someone who is not attractive at all to someone who is at least moderately attractive and shows moderate reproductive signaling. So now you understand what most will never understand, that is that sexual attraction is triggered by reproductive signals. And now you should truly understand that sexual attraction has nothing to do with confidence, personality, or any of these behavioral aspects, but is truly only to do with these visible, measurable cues that signal that you're reproductively fit. If you want to work with me personally, feel free to join the other members of my private community where you'll get direct access to me, a library of content to improve your reproductive signaling. If you're interested in that, it's the first link in the description. If not, thanks a lot for watching. Feel free to like it if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this and improve your looks, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.